It's a vibrant, beautiful urban setting on the edge of nature, the welcoming capital of a leading G7 nation, and home to 1 million incredibly smart, active, and engaged people, with more of them working in information and communications technology per capita than in any other region of the country. Welcome to Ottawa, Canada. Diverse and inclusive, it's consistently ranked as a best place to live in Canada. Whether you're into the arts, culture, and urban life, or outdoor adventure, food, and raising a family, it's also a place that works. Close to 2,000 technology companies, multinational, Canadian leaders, and emerging startups are already here, making Ottawa the most technology intensive city in Canada and among North American leaders. Ottawa based researchers, scientists, and developers are building game changing solutions to face disruptive machine learning, robotics,
Hi, everyone. My name is Derek Leaseback. I'm director for Ottawa for Milborn Group. And thank you for, we're just people kind of coming on to the presentation here. We had a little bit introductory video on Ottawa and the courtesy of Invest Ottawa. And I always love that video. It's a good representation of what the city is and the industry that really drives the growth here. So we'll get started now. 7:08 right now, so we'll get started. And with me today, I'm very pleased to have Mr. Hunter Milborn. Hunter leads Canada's largest firm responsible for marketing urban, master planned, and multi-phase communities. His breadth of experience covers every facet of the new home marketplace, positioning, successfully selling from everything from boutique buildings and townhomes to mixed-use, high-rise communities and resort properties. Hunter is recognized by Canadian Business Magazine as the Dean of Condos, with over 700 projects totaling over $35 billion in sales. He has been firmly established as a leading authority in residential pre-construction sales. And here he is, Mr. Hunter Milborn.
Thanks, Derek, and welcome everyone. So thanks for joining us on a wonderful Tuesday night. We haven't had the best weather in the last few weeks, but it's really nice now to know that we've got a little bit of springtime coming. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about James House, but first we have a big audience of Ottawa agents and brokers with us tonight, and some Toronto groups too. So we're going to really talk a little bit about, this is an excerpt of a little seminar I've given several times to different real estate brokerage groups with a theme on, basically how to add pre-construction sales to your existing real estate practice. And by doing that, it's not difficult to double your income by adding these pre-construction sales to your practice. And really tonight, what I'm going to do, before we start talking about James House specifically, I'm just going to give you a couple of little tried and true tricks of the trade that we've distilled from a lot of experienced pre-construction brokers as to how they've evolved their practices to really involve pre-construction sales. So you are a successful agent. Otherwise, you wouldn't be working after hours and listening to stuff like this and being motivated. So whether you've been in the business 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years or longer, you're successful. And what that has meant is that you've been very, very reactive to your clients' needs. People need something. They need to move. They need something bigger. They need something smaller. They need to relocate. They need something. They give you a referral. So it's basically based on they have a friend that needs to buy or needs to sell. So you have this client database. You have clients that you've had for many years, many of you, or recent ones that are fairly new, but they trust you and they rely on you to look after their real estate needs. So the question then becomes, what about their investment dollars? And this is a little bit more proactive approach rather than a reactive approach. So, these clients, some of them are different age groups, whatever, they're at different stages of their life, but they're typically making investments. They might be talking to a wealth advisor who works for a bank who's trying to sell them mutual funds, or investing in the stock market. But a really tried and true way of building equity and making money is through purchasing pre-construction condominiums. I think the statistics are that more people have become wealthy through owning real estate than many other vehicles combined. So with respect to their investment dollars, let's just go through the math a little bit with respect to a typical pre-construction condominium home. So let's use an example that we would purchase in the next 30 days for $450,000. And for most agents, I mean, they're going to be receiving a full 3% selling commission on the net of HST amount for what really amounts to as a referral. So let's talk about now what that means to the purchaser. So let's say, what are the terms of engagement? What are the typical deposit structure schedules that are required to purchase this condominium that probably has delivery 3 to 4 years out? That's typically what the delivery dates for these are. So this is not exactly in universal, but it's very, very similar. So it's basically approximately $5,000 with the agreement of purchase and sale. Then they have a 10-day statutory right of rescission to terminate the agreement for any reason. And sometimes that happens on a small percentage of sales. Typically, they would pay the balance of the purchase price up to a 5% deposit in 30 days from the signing of the APS, and then a further 5% in 90 days or 120 days, or a further 5% in a year, and then 5% on occupancy. So using this example, they would pay 15% over a period of a year and get delivery in 3 or 4 years. So they would have paid approximately $67,500, and their delivery is 4 years from now. So we can get the next slide. That'd be great, guys. So, and this is a thing I like to do. I mean, we've assumed here in this example a 4% year over year market appreciation that's not compounded. But when I explain this to people, I always like to use their numbers, because people will believe their own numbers much easier than if you give them a number. So you can say to someone, look, you know, I mean, what do you think the average rate of appreciation has been in a market that we're talking about, be it Toronto or be it Ottawa? You know, what's the average annual rate of appreciation been in Ottawa for average over the last 4 years? It's probably a lot more than 4%. You know, Derek can maybe fill us in a little bit later on what it's actually been. But let's assume it's a very conservative number. But you can do this math fairly quickly. You know, if somebody says 6% or 8% or 10%, it's basically easy to do the math. So if someone purchases that $450,000 condominium today and gets delivery 4 years from now, even without compounding, if the asset value appreciates at 4% a year, that's an increase of about $72,000 or 16%, again, without compounding. And as you recall, the total deposit paid is 20% if they get an 80% mortgage, but it's only $67,500. So the return on the investment is close to 100%, because the equity has basically almost doubled. So that's really the simple math of why people like to buy pre-construction condos. And keep in mind, this is with a very, very conservative rate of appreciation. As I mentioned before, I like to use someone else's numbers because typically they're going to give you a higher number. So how else does someone make money like this without being with a lot of risk? You know, I don't know of many mutual funds that can perform like this. You know, if you're a full-time stock market trader, then maybe you have that, but you have wins and losses. I mean, how many people do you know that have lost money in the stock market versus lost money in the real estate market? So I think that, you know, really the key here is to be more proactive with your clients and not as reactive, and just share this information with them and canvas them on, you know, what are they doing with their investment dollars? And, you know, maybe they would like to purchase a home for their adult child and give them a start on that principal residence idea. But anyway, those are the main points, and it's very simple. And you know, if you are doing X number of transactions per year, it's not that difficult to to double the number of transactions by going back to those existing clients and referring them to pre-construction sites that typically would pay, as I mentioned, a full 3% selling commission for what really amounts to as a referral. So it starts out with the prospect's needs. They trust you. So the opportunity there is to really take advantage of their investment dollars. And, you know, we're going to have a little bit of time for questions after, so we can deal with any questions that everyone may have. And I think what I'll do now is I'll turn the program back over to Derek, who can give us a bit of a outline on the James House project and its many benefits. So Derek?
Yeah, thank you. That was a great explanation of it, and a lot of key points there to take away. It also segues greatly into the James House project, because we have this James House project, which is a joint project with Urban Capital and Taggart Group in Ottawa, located on Bank Street, just at the corner of Bank and James. So those of you who are from Ottawa might know it's the former site of the old James Street pub. And we have a presentation gallery that's located there as well. So we'll go through a little bit of a overview of the project, so you have some information on it. So like I said, James House is a project that's been put together by Urban Capital and Taggart Group. The project is it's a 9-story new build condo, 127 units, located at the corner of Bank and James in Ottawa. Residential is the main aspect of this building. We have a main floor retail as well. But one of the unique aspects of this building, as you can see from the rendering, is the unique outdoor space that it offers. And you'll see a lot of the units and the space layouts include ample outdoor space for the residents. Located on Bank Street, for those of you from Ottawa, you're very familiar with Bank Street. From those of you that are not in Ottawa, Bank Street is known here as the electric strip. There's a lot of different amenities, shops, restaurants. It's really the heart of dining. It's one of the longest streets in our nation's capital, and you can see many different aspects to it as you travel down Bank Street. We're located kind of in the center town area, so a little bit closer to downtown, just south of the parliamentary precinct. So the site is very well situated for a lock and leave lifestyle, of walking. Local shops and restaurants are really kind of at your doorstep. And one of the unique aspects of it, I find, is that you have a development that's located in an area with a lot of other residential urban living as well. A lot of the condo communities in Ottawa are more or less standalone, whereas this one here already has existing newer almost 1,500 residential units all around that area. So a lot of the amenities that service that residential living is already at the doorsteps, and it's not something that's to come, it's already there. So we are also very well connected in terms of transit, obviously being in Centertown and being kind of in that more of the heart of the downtown area. You have access to quite a bit of transit, whether it be bus or the new LRT that can take you throughout the city. The units themselves in this building, with Urban Capital having built several different projects in Ottawa already, they have a signature look and feel to their units. One of the aspects of that would be the exposed concrete You'll see that throughout their units. It kind of offers a new loft kind of feel to a lot of their product, and it's shown here. One of the things that they've done very differently in this project compared to their last projects in the Ottawa area is they've really revisited their finishings and their material options for the suites, and enhanced the offering significantly. This is one of the last sites that they have in that area, and they really wanted to do something special. So the presentation gallery has a full built-out model suite, which really showcases it very nicely, so that you can see what all the finishes really look like, and the attention that they put into the details for the actual units themselves. The amenity offering is also quite significant in here, and it's one of the things that I think is very important as we get into the post-pandemic era. A lot of people are looking and asking about in-building amenities, which really before people were concerned about them more so from a cost perspective, but now I find people are looking at amenities more as a need to have, and a way of kind of limiting the amount of times that they're going out and touch points throughout the city. So this building really offers a full suite of amenities. You have your fitness studio, your yoga, Pilates studios. There's a lounge area as well. And then also the rooftop pool, which is a great amenity to have. It's, especially being in the downtown area, and on these hot days like we're having today, it's great to have access to that pool. Lobby as well. We do have a full-time or concierge as well. That concierge is actually going to be there 5 hours a day, 7 days a week. But the service is there, and a manned service in the actual building itself. And then some of the amenity areas as well. So when we get into just the economics of James House and the specifics on the area, there are some details that really come to light. And for anybody who is in the Ottawa area, even I find these numbers even help with individual purchasers that are coming in and might be from Ottawa, just never really look at these numbers. So just looking at the actual economics there, sometimes will allow a purchaser and somebody who's coming in to have a look and be able to ultimately understand a little bit more about the area and the demographics when it comes to a particular area. The other staggering thing, and this is I guess more for the people that are joining us today and are not from Ottawa, but is the very diverse workforce. I think a lot of people feel that Ottawa is just a government town. We are the nation's capital. We have 3 levels of government located here, but we do have a very vibrant tech sector as well, which offers a wide variety of jobs and employment. And our employment industry is very robust and has stayed very active throughout the pandemic, but also over the years as well. So we do have a very large workforce in the nation's capital. And we also have education, as we saw from the Invest Ottawa video earlier. We do have quite a bit of educational institutions that support a lot of the emerging workforce here, but also bring a lot of people in from other cities and countries that come here to study. So one of the interesting things I looked at is again, looking at this from an investment perspective, is looking at the numbers when it comes to rentals. So obviously that's an important thing to look at. Taking the numbers for the year 2020, what was interesting and a very interesting data point was the vacancy rates and the average rents in both Toronto and Ottawa, and doing kind of a side-by-side comparison. We're looking more at the downtown, Toronto versus the Ottawa. One thing that we saw is that although vacancy rates were up in both scenarios, the average rent was actually up in Ottawa versus down in Toronto. And one of the things that really kind of, if you kind of drill into it and you look at it, one of the things that really kind of you focus on is the employment, security here. A lot of people in Ottawa were not as affected with the lockdowns and the work from home orders that came in 2020. So a lot of people were still employed. They still had the ability to pay rent. Our vacancies were really driven up mostly by the student housing that wasn't being absorbed because students weren't there. But we're still seeing a lot of those individuals, that are in rental situations, having the ability to pay their rent and to come to the table on those things. So it was an interesting data point to look at, and again, it's something that you can kind of share with your clients, and when looking at an investment in Ottawa and how Ottawa kind of fares through through these times. So we do have some information on James House in our broker portal. The information for that and the login information will be sent out very shortly with access to the portal. What we will also do, we go through some questions that we have right here. I'm going to just go through here. So, Hunter, we got a couple of questions with regards to the first part of the presentation there. The first question is, how does the increase in value during the pre-construction phase compare to the increase in value versus year one after occupancy?
That's a good question. I think it depends on the site and the location. I mean, if we look at Toronto as a universe, typically, the better locations will appreciate faster. We did a recent comparison on prices in Yorkville as an example. And, if you go back 4 years in Yorkville, it was $1,000 a square foot. So, which sounds like ridiculously low in today's world, because, the recent projects have been selling for, $1,750 to $1,900 per square foot. So if you purchase something in 8 Cumberland or 1 Yorkville, it wouldn't be 4% a year appreciation. It would be like 18. So, as to what those will be now in that first year after occupancy, typically after occupancy, it drops a little bit, because what you'll find is that if you look at a typical pre-construction building, maybe 30 or 40 or 50% of the suites are bought by investors. So those investors are going to resell sometimes in that first year, or they're going to rent. So I would say that on average, we don't really have statistics on this, so it's more anecdotal, but I think that if the average annual rate of appreciation over the last 4 years, it's probably been more like 8 to 10%. But I think in that first year after occupancy, it would probably be a little bit less, just because there's restrictions on sale. It's much more difficult for someone to assign without consent to the developer. So people typically would wait, and then they would rent for a year and then sell. But there's a little bit more supply, call it, let's say, in that first year after occupancy than there is beforehand. So I think it's hard to generalize, but I think that, say it's 25% less than the average of pre-construction, but I think that the average rate of appreciation from contract until occupancy or closing would be higher than it would be probably in that first year. But really, real estate's a long-term game. So what most people are going to do, if they're a homeowner, they're probably going to close and keep it 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. So that appreciation in year 2 starts to pick up again and goes up, based on the location and based on the desirability. But I think it's safe to say, and most people are knowledgeable in the market, that, the 4% example is very, very conservative. That's why it's almost better to ask the purchaser, what do you think it's been over the last 4 years, and what do you think it will be over the next 4 years?
Okay, that's good. We actually have another one too, with regards to property types. So are there certain property types which do better as construction investments versus others?
That's a good question. I think that, COVID was sort of a big interrupter. I think what happened was that, smaller, more affordable suites pre-COVID, studios and 1 bedrooms did probably better than 1 bedroom and dens and 2 bedrooms, simply because they were coming from a lower cost base. I think when COVID came, that kind of flipped around a little bit, because people, in a studio or the 1 bedroom, just, in a lockdown, that wasn't a happy moment necessarily. So they look for something larger, whether they were tenants or whether they were owners. But I think that, the most solid is if you can get a 1 bedroom and a den with 2 bathrooms, or a small 2 bedroom. It's got a little bit more universal appeal than a studio or 1 or 3%, for example.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And this question, I think, is could probably apply to both markets, but have we, or I guess the question is, what effects of the pandemic have been the effects of the pandemic on the pre-construction market?
Well, I think the number one for us is it's, downtown Toronto was always the best market. It was the hottest market. Projects would sell the quickest. But if you look at, what we did, March, this last half of March, April, May last year, we didn't launch anything. In June, we launched Taylor, which was in Etobicoke, 142 units. It did very well. In July, we launched Westport, which sold out by the fall, in Port Credit. August, we launched Artform 1, which was in Mississauga. The launch, we did 2 launches in September, October that were in Scarborough. So we didn't really launch anything downtown last year. And this year, in January, we launched Bowmanville, which for us was a new thing, that, a building called Moto 51, which was modern downtown condos in Bowmanville, which, people would have not questioned, or would have questioned a few years ago, but it's right next door to the GO train. And there's a second phase of that opening very shortly as well. February, we launched a building in Hamilton that sold out quite quickly. And in April, we launched a building in a series of buildings, a master plan community in Whitby that sold out very quickly. So I think what happened with COVID was it dispersed the market a little bit, pushing people to outer 416 or 905, even 705. We've got a couple of projects on the market in Huntsville now, one called Lakeside Huntsville. So people are definitely setting their eyes farther afield. And I think, Derek, in my discussions over the last 6 or 8 months, when we were down there in the fall and talking and recently, I mean, you've seen a lot of buyers come from GTA, maybe more in the last year than previously, right?
Yeah, and that's across the market as well. And I'm actually going to segue into the answering this other question here that came in. One of the questions here is, are you worried about the supply of condos in Ottawa? And I'm going to field this one. This one is Ottawa. The short answer is no. I think Ottawa hasn't had a large supply of new inventory come to the market in the condo category for quite some time. What inventory was standing in Ottawa was also has been absorbed over the last 2 years or so. There's some builder inventory that was kind of sitting, and that product has all more or less been absorbed by the marketplace. So we're at a point right now in the market where we're seeing record growth year over year. We've seen our low-rise market up 40%, but our condo market is still up about 15 to 16% year over year. And that being said, we're still going to see a continuation of there being a demand for it, because people are on the move right now. We have people that are looking at their living situations. They're looking at their aspects of downsizing, upsizing, and they're making those moves right now.
So one question I have for you, and I don't know whether you know the answer off the top of your head, or you can estimate or do some homework and let us know, but that 4% example that we used, we acknowledged that it was quite conservative. So if in the last 12 months that year over year increase in Ottawa was around 15%, I mean, what would be the average, let's say, if somebody bought something pre-construction 4 years ago? Like, when was Fresh Towns that we sold?
That was in 2017.
Okay, so that's, yeah.
The interesting thing is that this ride that we're having right now started well before that. We started to see the market in Ottawa start to rise in 2016, I say it was. 2016, actually, there was a project that we launched in Ottawa called Art House, and that we launched at $550 a square foot. That project currently, reselling for that project is somewhere around $890 to $900 a foot for that product, downtown product. But what really we saw, year over year, I think the first kind of staggering number was that 10% growth year over year from 2016 to 2017. 2017 we jumped up to I think it was 17% year over year growth, and then 2018, 2019 we just kind of steadily increased till this year we're seeing numbers in the close to 40% year over year in certain product categories there. So overall we've been seeing that market shift significantly. I'd say the average over the last 4 years has been well over the 4% conservative number that we're using right now. But it's a good exercise to see kind of where the numbers have been for the last little while.
Mm-hmm.
We have it will average price per square foot of newer resale condos. Like I said, average price per square foot. A perfect example actually is this Art House project. We did $550 a square foot for selling, but the average price per square foot resale right now for that product, which is only about it's about 2 years old in the market right now. It's trading right now around around about $900 a square foot in a downtown location.
So that's up about 60%. And that would be what, over maybe 5 years, or a little more than 4, probably, right?
Yeah, that would have been
When it sold?
2016 sales start. So
Yeah, so that would be, 10 to 12% average probably per year, right? Or roughly.
yeah.
So what was Fresh Towns? When we sold that Fresh Towns project, I remember they were what, like 350 or 375, those townhouses?
Yeah, so they were starting at around on average they were about 350 in that price point. You're looking at a significant growth in terms of value there. So that's 2017 or late 2017 sales start for that project, and we saw pricing go from to today's market right now. Those units are 350,000. You're looking at somewhere around I'd say somewhere around 600,000 for those units in today's market. So quite the increase that we've had there.
Yeah, so that's probably about 70% up in 4 years, right?
Yeah.
So 15, 16, 17 per year. That's why the 4% is really, really a conservative example. That's why you're, in having conversations with prospects, you're almost better to, because if somebody guesses, for the last few years, they might guess 8 to 10, and for the next 4 years, they might be conservative and guess 6 to 8%, So it doesn't really, the numbers really, really work well if you are, in those ranges of appreciation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I have some technical questions with regards to the James House. I'm just going to run through them. I'll give answers as I read them here. So one of them, someone's asking, will the condo allow for Airbnb? No, there is a minimum time frame for rentals. Presentation will be made available afterwards. Yes, we're going to put that onto the broker portal. How far from Ottawa U? We are, I'd say, about 15 minute walk to University of Ottawa. About 5-minute car ride there. Concierge is, the concierge is 5 hours a day. Really, concierge being there at key times during the day to really, it keeps the condo fees low, but also keeps the building operational, and the owners like that because they have somebody there that's taking care of everything. Vendor leaseback program. There's no vendor leaseback program. What we've found is that we have the market moves so quickly here, and what we found also in a lot of these other projects here, and especially in the Ottawa area, is that the rents end up being better than the actual programs are in place. So nothing that's planned out for this particular project in terms of a leaseback program. And I think that's all of them. So there's going to be some key information that's going to be put into the broker portal. By now, everybody should have received an email with their access to the broker portal, passwords and the link. In addition to that, we are hosting an agent open house. So if you'd like to come down, in person to James House, have a look at the model suite, take a tour. You're more than welcome to bring a client if you have one, or if you just want to come by, take a look and see what the product is, ask a few more questions. You can do that. There is a link in the email that was just sent for you to be able to book an appointment. We are doing it by appointment only, just to keep the crowding to a minimum, and follow health guidelines. So we do have that email has been circulated. So if you have any questions or anything like that, you can book an appointment there. For those of you who are out of town, we will have a virtual option as well, and we'll circulate that at some point tomorrow, to give you a few options so that you don't have to travel down to Ottawa. So
Excellent.
I think that's it for us. I'm Hunter, do you have any other final words?
No, listen, I think that, we want to be respectful of everyone's time, and we thought we were going to be somewhere around 45 to 50 minutes, which is, I think, just where we've been. So I think that was a testimony to your organizational and presentation skills there. So, but I think that, hopefully COVID will be a distant memory a year from now. But I think the one thing that it's done is it's proved that, to be as centrally located in the GTA isn't really as critical now as it's been before. And that's given rise to these successes we've had in the Bowmanvilles and Whitbys and Hamiltons and Burlingtons of the world. And now particularly Ottawa, because I think Ottawa is still a very big city, and it has a lot going for it on its own, and a lot of room for upside.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Okay, so that's the presentation. If you need to contact us with regards to James House Condos, you can send an email, info@jameshouse.ca. The website link is also in the email that was just sent out for the broker portal, and our team is there ready to help. Hopefully we can get everybody in to see our presentation gallery very soon. We have appointments starting as early as tomorrow, so we're going to start this broker open very on a good note. Weather's supposed to be hopefully great tomorrow, so everyone can come out. There is free parking at the presentation gallery, so you have the option to drive and park there. So without further ado, we'll call this an evening. Hope everyone enjoys their evening, and thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to attend this webinar.
Thanks, Jared. Bye, everyone. Good night.